Okay. Wow. They've Restream's always changing. They have a countdown so we know we're on. And normally it goes 3, 2, 1. This time it did 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It goes by pretty quick, but nonetheless, these little idiosyncratic changes that happen. Ladies and gentlemen, the Grammy Awards just went down. Now, I avoided the whole thing because Don Lemon was scheduled to host or to attend them or to be there in some do something there anyway. And I said, "Oh my God, it's all going to be about Don Lemon," and everybody's going, "This is I accept this award on behalf of Don Lemon." My God. So anyway, and they're insufferable. I don't watch them, but I guess I forget her name. The green-haired one came out there. Miley Cyrus, what's her name?
Oh,
Billie Eyelash.
Billie
Billie
Eyelash.
Eyelash. So Billie Eyelash is out there, and some guy called Aesop's Fables did this mock-up of her. Pretty freaking funny. Pretty funny. There she is. All right. So it's kind of hard to hear, but we're going to roll it and give it our best shot here. Here we go.
No one is illegal on stolen land.
Oh my God. She's so brave. That's so brave.
Oh my God.
Phineas.
Phineas?
Yes, dear.
Oh, Phineas. You know what I realized? Since no one is illegal on stolen land, that means there's no rules. There's no laws.
Oh yes, my sweet dear. We can finally get married.
Oh, Phineas. And we can have that Nepo baby we always wanted. No one is illegal.
Right. So I enjoyed that. And then,
Yeah.
so she came out there and did this thing about, being stolen land and, virtue signaling, all the rest, like we have up in British Columbia, land acknowledgements. We know how pathetic it is. But anyway, so we're going to go with this one. Red Wave Press writing, Red Wave, right? Red Wave. Okay. Just in, the Tonvanga tribe, or whatever the hell they are, whose ancestral land Billie Eilash's multi-million-dollar Los Angeles mansion sits on, has confirmed she has not contacted them about returning the stolen land she has. A spokesperson for the Tongva tribe told the Daily Mail, as the first people of the greater Los Angeles basin, we do understand that her home is situated in our ancestral land. Adding that the A-lister has not reached out to the tribe herself. Eilish has not contacted our tribe directly regarding her property. We do value the instance where public figures provide visibility to the true history of the county, the spokesperson concluded. So Eyelash, for her part, hasn't reached out yet. And then, of course, we had Trevor Noah acting up. So we'll do this one here. No laughing matter. Comedian Trevor Noah joked that Donald Trump was on Epstein Island, then defended it's comedy, free speech, suggesting a president you can't sue me over a joke. Well, here's the issue. Connecting someone's name to Jeffrey Epstein in a place tied to child trafficking is not light material. It involves real victims, real crimes, ongoing investigations. Hinting that someone was involved without evidence can cause serious harm, distract from the gravity of what actually happened. True, this is not a punchline. Abuse of children is not comedy. Calling it just a joke does not erase the impact. He knew what he was doing. The Epstein brush up is called free speech. You can't sue him over a joke. Well, buckle up, sweetheart, because Trump's going to come in after you on that very account. So 3 nonsensical stories to start the program off with. Billie Eyelash, her land claims, stolen land, that bullshit. Just communism again. You and I know what it is. We're old hands at the game. Blake, thoughts on any of those 3 things, or if you have any? You may just say, please, Rachel, spare me.
I couldn't give a rat's you know what on their positions. They are, I mean, at least Ricky Gervais through the Golden Globes did a great job hammering them all down. Like, just shut up. No one cares what you think. Let's just hold on that point on all of them. I mean, the fact that Billie's like, all of 23 or 24 years old, I think she's, she was like a teenage singer that kind of popped up when she was about 17, 18. And I think in that little video joke that was created with AI, I think that was, I think it's her brother is a songwriter.
Okay.
That's
they
why
work. They do
the Nepo baby. That's why I was kind of laughing because her brother writes the music.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Is that her brother? God, that's funny.
So I think it's, just
adds a new definition of Nepo baby. I tell you, holy smokes.
The part that's really creepy is that this manipulation and propaganda has been running for a long time, and it's funny how these people think that they are being so anti-establishment.
So brave,
anti-establishment, but they're not being anti-establishment. They are the establishment.
Correct.
And it's this projection that we're continuously hit with, that everything they call us is what they are. They're the fascists. They're the abusers. They're the ones doing this. They're the ones that are creating the really aggrieved people. And they're the ones that are in people's faces. They say, my rights, my life, I can do what I want. Yet they telling you how you can live your life. As soon as they have power, they're stomping all over you. And yet they're not anti-establishment to that. But what's interesting, I think her land back message, which was a great way that they were able to counter that message, to give up your house. Then I think our own MLA in BC tried to do that. What's her name? Dallas Brody tried to get all the MLAs to turn over their homes through the land acknowledgement in the legislature last year. And of course, not one took her up on it. And she said she would pay for the land transfer costs and legal work.
I'll pay for the legal work to get her done.
But what's amazing is that because there's two different forms of land back arguments in California and in the Southwest. There's still the sort of Latino movement where they believe California, New Mexico, parts of obviously Texas, all that was all stolen by the Americans from Mexico. And yet you don't really hear too much about the fact that Mexico was actually taken too from, by Spaniards and conquered the Aztecs, et cetera, et cetera. But their thing is that they wanted to go back to Mexico, right? And that, really, you want to go back to Mexico. So you want cartels running California and Arizona, et cetera, et cetera. It's just absolutely lunacy. It's right up there with the Greta Thunberg type of
virtue signaling is
moronic losers that have about an intellect level of a 4-year-old. Matter of fact, 4-year-olds are probably smarter. They'll just call it out as they see it.
Well, it appeals on a very emotional level, and this is the thing that is always there. So much gaslighting going on in our world right now. But one thing that's not a gaslight, and it's a big Canadian story, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of thoughts on this. This is, our leader. I was just watching a thing on Joe Rogan. I forget who he had. Mike Benz he had in, who's a former State Department employee. The guy is kind of a cybersecurity expert, but he knows a lot about Iran-Contra, the Kennedy assassination, all how government and the CIA and regime change and how money is used. And of course, the Epstein files, they were talking about that. Anyway, Mike Benz, check it out on the Rogan program. It's disheartening on some level, just showing how traditionally government, both Republican and Democrat, liberal and conservative, have been corrupted and operating knowingly being corrupted in order to get things done for various interests. Here's the story. More conspiracy truths hidden. It's unbelievable. This former hockey great, Theoren Fleury, number 14. That's why the 14's there. He wore 14 for the Calgary Flames, an institution, amazingly gifted hockey player, a little guy, but tough as hell. He's a Métis guy, meaning he's half native or he's got native blood as well. But Theoren Fleury, he's talking about Blacklock Reporter here. Minister Marjorie PLC's debt department seals vax and drug injury files for 15 years. They say the documents run to millions of pages. Not a typo. 15 years. So here's these clowns. This idiot's the Prime Minister of Canada. This laughing hyena is some sort of, I assume, the Ministry of Health. I don't know what the hell she is. Government Health, I think. Anyway, they've decided in their infinite wisdom and in the interest of transparency to seal any reports of vaccine injuries, because
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Blake, your thoughts on sealing, because the vaccine were perfectly safe and no problem. They were just the best thing for you. But because they're the very best thing for you, we're going to seal any information on any harm they actually may have done for 15 years. Hopefully, anybody injured by that time will have taken full advantage of Canada's health services. Take full advantage of everything that Health Canada Services has to offer you.
Yeah.
And you won't be here in 15 years. Blake,
exactly, because they're going to major your ass out the door.
That's my boy. That's my boy. I line him up. You knock him out of the park. I'll keep pitching him. All right. So thoughts on the 15-year seal?
Well, what else can this government in Canada be other than a corrupt crony, whatever they are? I mean, these guys somehow think that they pretend that they're here to save Canada, and all the elbows up crowd dances around with them. When in reality, they are the fascists. Again, we're going to keep using that term because that's the term they call us, those that believe in freedom and liberty and classical liberalism, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Sorry, you guys are the baddies. You're proving it. Once again, you're covering up the evidence that these people, because there's lawsuits pending now. And as this evidence pours out, class actions will come up, and the negligence of government officials through all this who knowingly took part in a untested vaccine, not even a vaccine, a gene therapy, and called it, it was basically done through compelled use on the population. I mean, it was really a trial run for the test of obedience. If you're not going to do this, we'll strip you of your ability to work. We'll strip your ability to buy, sell, or trade.
Right.
I mean,
people lost jobs. Yeah. Couldn't travel anywhere. You couldn't go to a public restaurant unless you showed your ID. They created a special ID for it. And in America, if you're wondering about voter ID, and the fact that they actually required here in Canada to have ID, you couldn't even go in and have a hamburger without having ID. Absolutely ridiculous.
But these guys, I mean, if anybody is listening to our show that happens to be tied to any opposition party, this should be something that you jump on. But we know you're a big uniparty gang who all do big love in behind the closed doors. But, since the Conservative Party, you want to pretend you're in opposition, you may want to stand on this one, if this gets out, we're releasing this. This is very similar to the tainted blood supply story from 30 years ago. Where they buried all that evidence. So, basically AIDS infected blood supply. And the other was, the one from, you get liver disease from Hep C. So Hep C was found to be all through it, and they knew it, and they sold it anyways. And Bill Clinton was part of that. Remember, he was selling the blood knowingly from the States to Canada. And it was just this big love-in between liberals and Democrats, as we see now, right? Democratic Party, Liberal Party, they're of the same machine on both sides of the border. But this is a big thing. They should be jumping all over this. This is a great advantage that you could take right now and say, this is wrong, regardless of what you think, especially you elbows up crowd. We still run around with a little mask on today. This is wrong. This is called science. This is the real science. This is where you drill down into the data. And when people are showing from vaccines,
so harmless, you have to hide the data for 15
you got to hide
years.
it because you're going to get your asses sued and you're going to lose. And maybe some of you might have been found to be doing it negligently, which means if somebody died, you could be potentially charged for manslaughter and other possible attempts. But I'd love to see some of these bureaucrats and these government politicians go to jail or lose their shirts financially. Let them personally be sued for good.
All right. Another story here. Again, watching Mike Benz talk about corruption, political corruption. We know China's big player in Canada, influencing. Again, please watch Joe Rogan's guest with Mike Benz. Very insightful about government level corruption, CIA, everything. Here we go. Here's the story. This is coming out. Breaking: a massive calls pouring in to investigate Democrat Representative Ayanna Pressley, thank you very much, after her net worth exploded she was in the hole for 12,000 plus in 2018. She now owns $8 million in assets. Boy, I wish I knew what her business plan is. Another corrupt Democrat, allegedly. Conan Harris's associates client list, meet boss and the boss of Foundation Justice Resource Institute. Let's take a look at the story. It's a little too long. I don't want to cover it all. Check it out. Anyway, she's in trouble. Another story. We got the Health Canada calls coming in to investigate. Clearly, there's corruption there. All right, let's take a look in here. And all right. And Sue, did you pop in the background? Okay, just heard a little bloop, bloop.
Yeah, well, we flipped sides too.
And we oh, you know what? Maybe I popped out. I popped out for probably I lost my connection for a little bit there. Probably is what happened, Blake. So yeah, we got a problem there, right? With more corruption coming in, and this is happening with a lot of these Democrats and Republicans too. Yeah, where they come into a public office. And, they're, they're the average person with an average income, depending on what their occupation was prior to entering into public office. But they leave gazillion millionaires. It's like, huh? So clearly money is being handled, and it's a nasty, dirty, corrupt affair. Give me your thoughts on it. And I know I've got another story. I think another one broke the same way.
It's exploding. And, now that we have the era of the citizen journalist, and it's opening doors everywhere. Nick Shirley's now in California doing his thing there. Again, digging up more of these fake child care centers and daycare centers.
Yeah.
And, he's found his niche there. He's going fully into it. Niche for those of us in Canada. But this is just, I think we're, again, peeling back the layers of corruption. And now that you've got somebody in office, Donald J. Trump, who believes in transparency, believes in laws, and this stuff is coming out left, right, and center. And I don't know. I don't know how anybody can support that side of the aisle while that's going on. You would think there would be some honorable people on that side of the aisle and say, yeah, we can't tolerate this either. And, maybe listen to some people like John Fetterman, or even what's his name? Mr. Comedian leftist guy, but he's even flipped the script on
Bill Maher.
Bill Maher, he's seeing it too. And, this whole anti-ICE position is just one massive distraction. The fact that this is attacking the very corruption core, the voter rolls, right? The illegals getting voter rolls. And I think all this money that these people are making on the side, as you said, they come into politics with nothing. They end up millionaires because they're part of that empire that we described in prior shows. But it's a crime syndicate. It really is a crime syndicate. These are the capos. These are the structure, much like a mafia. And these guys are running it like a mafia because you know what? Some of them disappear. Some of them are found dead. So it's very much like a mafia.
Yeah, I mean, it does happen. People have gone, they mysteriously taken care of. Breaking: Democrat fraudster Representative Sheila McCormick is being arraigned for conspiring to steal $5 million from FEMA. If any Republican did this, they'd be expelled already. The double standard is real. So there is yet another case where we've had a fraud occur. In this case, stealing from FEMA. And talk about adding insult to injury. What does FEMA do? It's an emergency response organization set up to help people following floods or earthquakes, tornadoes, natural disasters. FEMA is supposed to come in and help. And here's a woman taking money from an organization dedicated to help people that are in the most critical of need. It's absolutely unbelievable. Make America great indeed, Game Day. Absolutely. MAGA, we're MAGA here. And, God bless President Trump. But yeah, just while you were talking there, Blake, I just thought I'd show another example. And of course, we talked about the whole idea, of identification, you need to have during the COVID. We all were given our IDs. Well, apparently, no one really thinks that ID is a bad thing. Breaking a stunning blow to Democrats, 76% of Black Americans want nationwide voter ID. This is from our Black population, 76. In other words, 3/4 of them want it. The Save America Act should pass. White voters, 85% want it, and Latino voters, 82% of them want it. Another leftist narrative just got decimated. Pass voter ID, get this passed. I mean, we use ID for so many things. You need it for not the least of it, getting into a restaurant during COVID. But, clearly that's the deal, right? Oh, I got one more to share with you here while we got that. Just right on the heels of it. Just a quick follow-up. Wow, new election integrity bill doesn't only mandate citizenship ID to vote, right? So this is what's all behind the SAVE Act. It makes states clean your voter rolls, get the illegals out of there, penalize officials who register those illegal voters. You know what? This would destroy the Democrat Party as we know it. We got Scott Presler, who's done so much for registering Republicans. This is a gay man supporting the president, 65,000 loves and a 15,000 retreat, doing good. Require proof of U.S. citizenship. But this kind of recipe is a recipe of a disaster for the Democrats because they've been using the illegals. Yeah. This is why we've seen such a kickback against ICE, because they're taking basically their voter base out from underneath them. And when that happens, they're going to look at the census again, reevaluate the census data, because a lot of that is used. Tim Walz was legalizing driver licenses for illegals, and in the same breath, allowing those driver's licenses to be used as proof of citizenship. So when you go in to vote, you could register to vote. Complete corruption, recognized knowingly. Blake?
Yeah, I saw that. There, as a matter of fact, Elon Musk just, I think, retweeted that post showing Tim Walz doing his big announcement when he had, made the one size fits all driver's license for everybody. And it was just like this big groom cheering. All the supporters of the corrupt regime, of course, are there, like clapping seals, doing what they do to make sure that their paychecks go up, because that's who's supporting this. And but that's classic situation that we've seen for years. I mean, it used to be graveyards, right? That was the voter rolls were, well, here's Mary Brown. She's voting again, but she was born in 1856. It's like,
what, like a lot of time. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Finish your thought. And I got.
Well, and I think that's, the same party seems to be involved with the same shenanigans. They've always been doing it. I think the Democrat Party needs to look itself in the mirror and say, how do you even align yourself constitutionally with the United States? Because you're at odds with the Constitution of the United States. You were the Confederates. You tried to break up the country. You found every possible angle to destroy the republic. You stopped calling it a republic. You start calling it a democracy. Start calling America for what it is. It is a constitutional republic. It is not a pure democracy. We need to fight these people. We need to fight them in Canada too, because they're part of the
with bats or anything. We fight them through the legal courts and through voting and being good.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I mean by fighting, political fights. That's what we're in. But but they're not fighting with love-ins. They're destroying cities right now, and they're trying to.
Okay, Blake, I'm sorry.
War.
I've got to take issue with you on that. These our Democrat friends are doing such great work. You know, everything old is new again. And I've got this next story is this is one of these heartwarming stories that I just love to share. People say that they don't share or open their houses to the newcomers. Well, let's listen in on this great story here. This is heartwarming stuff. Like,
feels like she has her own personal chef, as Wildande loves cooking. Te gusta?
And it's really fun having them. What I realized is there's so much prejudice against refugees, mostly because people don't know them.
Lisa says she feels like she has her own personal chef, as Wildande loves cooking. Te gusta?
And it's really fun having them. What I realized is there's so much prejudice against refugees, mostly
everybody.
Democrats love their workers.
I just love having what's known as a house. Oh, hold on.
I love Django. Django's a good friend.
Django. Oh, Django Unchained. They're so lifelike. I love them. They're almost human. I love the little characters running around the house. Well, Junji is a wonderful cook.
That's right.
Anyway, holy crap. I mean, they're so blind. They're absolutely so freaking blind. They don't even see it themselves. But I mean, obviously, fodder for us to look at. My God.
Well, and you listen to their arguments about it. It's like, well, if we got rid of all of the illegal aliens and do all this, who's going to plow the fields? Who's going to pick the fruit? Who's going to do all this? It's like, isn't that what the Confederates argued in the war? Who's going to pick the cotton?
Everything old is new again.
Right.
Yeah. Everything old is new again. We got another story. Blake, tell me why this keeps happening. This is a crazy one here. Lives at TikTok, a great account. The feds have just discovered an illegal biolab in Las Vegas. The owner of the property is a Chinese national. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Who was previously arrested in connection with an illegal biolab in California. The repeat offender, Chinese national. They found pathogens labeled HIV, malaria, tuberculosis, COVID-19, and Ebola. Fun little project there as everybody in the hazmat suits bounding around. But an illegal biolab. Okay, we're seeing more of this, and it they're either trying to smuggle it in, they get caught trying to smuggle it in, or they're in Canada. Wasn't that sealed as well, Blake, with the biolab in Winnipeg? Didn't they do some? I mean, what happened with the biolabs that they found?
Like every other stories.
Yeah.
Disappear under the rug. It goes. Nothing to see here. Move along.
Yeah.
But that story's dangerous because it just shows that there is these operatives that potentially could be creating biological terrorist attacks. I mean, this is what I think the attempt we need to watch out for, because we're in an election year, and this is the year these fanatics do stuff to try and change the course of elections by creating some kind of mass event. We've seen it. We call them October surprises or whatever you want to call it. But in this case, it seems they've scaled it up since 2020, right? 2020 was, release the COVID, and boom, it's out everywhere. And the fact that they can get these into secret labs and how they're even getting them into the country. Well, it's the same guys who are bringing in the fentanyl. It's the same guys, the cartels are all working in conjunction with the Communist Party of China. They're working in, within the networks of these crime lords. Who are also somehow connected politically to some of these political operations. So it's amazing. They're all just one big happy crime family.
So another return to the Grammys, unfortunately. But we got the Supreme Court Justice, Jackson here. This DEI hire is a bad joke. Supreme Court Justice, not a musician, applauding anti-ICE messaging at an award show. She must now be recused from any case dealing with immigration enforcement, namely ICE. This is absolutely ridiculous. she's been seen before on Broadway. She's kind of she's auto-penned into the position there and became a Supreme Court justice, a Biden appointee. Votes. She's always out on the a left-leaning branch where the rest of the Supreme Court will be voting on an issue. This moron is out there voting on her own, with basically representing the filling the Democrat Party's greatest desires. So here she is, a wannabe actress more than a wannabe judge. Maybe she's a better actress than a judge. You have to decide that, America. But what do you think about the call to recuse? She should recuse herself from any judgments dealing with immigration, because here she is applauding no to ICE. This is obviously an inherent bias.
I think in the process of anybody who's been vetted, that kind of stuff, but you said an auto pen hire, that's not somebody who's been vetted. But if you did have a committee that vetted this person, that stuff should have been done. I mean, if she was just laughing at Trevor Noah's jokes, no matter how bad they were, that's one thing. That's separate. She is allowed to freedom of associate and that kind of stuff. That's, and not being in that environment. But if she was seen in a way that could prove that she was acting in a bias towards a government entity like ICE, then I would think at that point that would reign true. That she would have to recuse herself, or she's made any vocalized opinions about it, that she believes that ICE should be disbanded.
And this is the Supreme Court we're talking here. So after something's been bounced and bounced and bounced, then you're going to get this moron, weighing in on things. Let's take a look. It wouldn't be a show in 2026 worth its salt if we didn't look a little bit at the Epstein sitch. There's a couple of posts about that. MJ Truth Ultra, kaboom! President Trump just blew the entire Epstein gotcha narrative out of the water. Other than Bill Clinton and Bill Gates, lots of people, there are a lot of questions about it, but nothing on me, says Trump. It's even better than that. We found out that Epstein and a sleazebag writer named Michael Wolff conspired against me to lose the election. So right there, I had nothing to do with this guy. He ends by saying Democrats will begin pulling back on it now because it's really exposing the Democrats. They were working together to try and help me lose the election, but this is the Oval Office. So I guess that didn't work out. He's still there. They aren't. So in a related story on this, just kind of more about it, share this one instead. President Trump is right. The crooked Democrats and their donors are the ones associated with Jeffrey Epstein. This fact can easily be proven by Ro Khanna refusing to call on the DCC to return their donations from Epstein associate Reid Hoffman. Reid Hoffman, if I remember correctly, is the guy that financed the Jean Carroll claims that Trump attacked her in a department store, a closet. Representative Khanna made his refusal. He's walking to his big Get Trump press conference with rhinos Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie, where they strode in front of anti-Trump protesters, falsely claiming that Trump was a pedophile. And of course, they love to say this. This is the line, but it can't stick. They've tried everything. It's not going to stick. It's not sticking. And Trump himself is very confident in saying that I'm just going to sue your asses. Trevor Noah is being threatened to be sued by the president. We opened the show talking about that. And now we've got this situation where they're asking, hey, are you going to return your donations from an Epstein-associated billionaire? What's going on with you? So, Blake, your thoughts on that? And they got Trump. We return to this every show, but to keep our Dem fans happy, we're going to give them a little Trump talk. We got him now.
Well, and this is the thing, that every time they do it, they never do. It's just propaganda. It's just propaganda, and you keep returning to the same thing, and you're like dogs returning to your bowl of vomit. I mean, it's ridiculous. There's nothing there, so you keep inventing stories because the Democrats are running an operation, a misinformation, a disinformation campaign, and because it's a mass distraction. They are trying to distract from them, because the stories right now are about them, their supporters, their organization, their corrupt election systems, their corrupt fraud schemes, bilking probably, when it's all added up, I've said this before, well into the trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
When you go every single state, worldwide too, because they sent money worldwide to all of these NGOs and these entities. I mean, we even had that in Canada. Apparently, we spent $12 billion or $16 billion a year for some kind of ridiculous gender studies crap to be transported around the world. But can you imagine that into the tens and hundreds of billions worldwide? And then there's a funnel of that money coming back into, through contracts and other ways to pay people. But this is, you guys keep coming after him, and he keeps pointing. The mirror just gets bigger and bigger on you guys. It just flashes right back, because your corruption as a political entity, and I'm talking not all Democrats are corrupt, but as a political entity, you guys that are running that show are far worse than anybody that you're trying to point your fingers at. The projection is over. Nobody's buying it. Most of the population is red pilled now. You're not going to get them to take your blue pills. It's not happening. You've got your little peons in the streets who are paid, apparently are checking out, like union workers clocking out their protests. So shows who's running that show, which is public service unions. And what typically we see.
Again, I want to draw attention to the Joe Rogan interview he had with Mike Benz. Benz was talking about, he says, the problems with this, he says, one of the things that the president was right about, that a lot of people are going to get wrongfully slandered by this stuff. One of the slanders was directed towards Adam Sandler, of course, the comedian, actor, funny guy. We love Adam Sandler, great actor, really good, does dramas, comedy's good. Could be a little
like
silly.
Some pepper?
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I'd like, Pepper Boy. But anyway, you like it, Pepper? But anyway, so they got Adam Sandler, and Adam Sandler said, I'm going to sue the Department of Justice if you guys don't retract that bullshit right away. Yeah. Because in the interest of transparency, Trump said, fuck it, we're going to release it all just to shut you idiots up. And eventually they will shut up, because there is no there. And they're going to eventually, the Dems going to realize they don't got Trump on this either, which we knew all along. But nonetheless, we got to be patient with these retards and allow them to play it out to its, comedic, pathetic end. So Sandler got caught up, and so he countersued. So they've retracted, they've pulled back on the Sandler stuff, saying basically, because it was stated by somebody that was totally there was no credibility to the claim.
Yeah.
So going back to Mike Benz, Benz is talking about himself. He says, I had this guy named Thomas Mullen, something like that was the name. I don't have I can't recall the full name, but basically this Mullen guy goes, you, Benz, were engaged to a Russian hooker, the guy's claim was. And so he was dating a girl named like Angela Slavluka or something, but it was a totally different girl, another Russian girl with a different spelling. It was just wrong. He got the wrong name, the wrong identification. But this guy went and this Thomas, let's call him Thomas Mullen for want of a better name, because I can't, it escapes me. But this guy was identified as a source in the Epstein files, and then said that Trump did such and such with the third. And so when they looked at it, he goes, this is the same idiot that went after me. And then he went after employers saying, hire this guy. If you go, I work with the FBI or I'm CIA, and I'm going to go talk to our hirers up, and they're going to come down hard on you if you don't fire this guy, this guy's ass. All politics, all dirty. If we learn nothing from the Spygate scandal and the 51, I've got 51 high-ranking CIA and intel officers saying Trump is guilty of Russiagate. We know it's all real. And then they later go, it wasn't. It turns out not real at all. So, and those were 51 intel officers. These are just 13-year-old girls with psychological problems that are recounted, take it back, and they've got problems. They've been, deemed not credible by the FBI agents that were interviewing them. It's my mom. My poor blessed mom had dementia towards the end of her life. And I remember that it was very hard to get somebody with dementia placed into a home under permanent care. The government looks for every reason to keep you out. So they had a whole bunch of questions for my mom to do. And my mom was no dummy. She's a smart lady. And even though she had dementia, she knew why they were there and what was going on. So they asked her question, what's the date? She nailed the date. Do you know what year it is? She knew the year. I don't even know what date it is. Was it the third day? And, but she, my mom aced all the questions, but I knew what she was doing, but I knew my mom's weak point. My mom could never psychologically handle the fact that my dad had died before she, had died. And so I said, so I go, Mom, how's Dad doing? Can you talk to the lady about Dad? Now, the lady knew that my dad had passed. And so my mom started, oh, he's fine. I just talked to him. And the lady had put down all her notes in her books and was going to let my mom go. She was packing up, mission accomplished. You ain't getting in the nursing home, lady. But then when my mom started talking about my deceased father, like she was talking to him that very morning, she went back into her bags, brought everything back out, started taking more notes. And we got my mom committed. Because it was too difficult to look after her at home. It was a very difficult situation. Anybody who's ever gone through a parent that's suffering dementia can understand how difficult it can be. Not the least of which is I had to keep telling her what Dad's up to. And he had been dead for a number of years. So it's heartbreaking stuff. It's very difficult. My heart goes out to anybody else who's ever had to go through this sort of thing. But that's kind of the nature of when you're dealing with testimony from these people deemed uncredible. Trump wouldn't have been there. If they had gotten Trump, if they really had something on Trump, it would have been leaked a long time ago, and Trump never would have seen the light of day. Trump is a major thorn in the side of leftists globally. Yeah. And I think Trump derangement syndrome people are the first in line to admit that. So if they could have gotten rid of him, they could have. The files are all out. Under whose hand? Trump's hand. He said, let's do it. Did they all come out under Biden? No, they came out under Trump's administration. So everything points to Trump except for the crimes. That's where it all falls apart. Who is in on the crimes? Well, I leave that up for you to decide as you work through. Anybody has the interest of going through those files. But just to reiterate, a lot of innocent people were caught up, Adam Sandler being one of them, completely innocent, of course. Yeah. But the salacious thing was there because the FBI had hotlines open, phone in with your crime. So who don't you like, Blake? And if you're corrupt, you could slander somebody very easily. And it's an awful thing, but
especially if you're getting attention, right? If you're getting the attention and you're desiring attention, people in those positions, as you talked earlier, like, some 13-year-old girl with psychological issues is probably loving the attention and creating all kinds of stories, right?
And it's happened before, yeah.
And we know of the Salem witch trials, right? Some pretty wild stuff went on there. But bang on that situation, because I think Trump represents something the left does not like, and we call them the left. I don't even know what they are. They're this hodgepodge,
exactly,
or just you said those with TDS, those whatever, but they have never faced a boxer on the opposite side of the aisle, because typically in the last number of years, I would say maybe since Reagan was more, he wasn't a fighter. He was more of a orator. He was like the conservative Obama.
He was
able
more
to
in the
speak, he could bring you in, and he was well spoken, and he could bring in humor.
Well, he
and
was part of
everybody
them.
was
He was part of that system, even though he
And-
brought in a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
But he was like George Bush liked them and all this sort of thing.
Yeah,
You know,
and it was a
they
different
were the
era
same
of
animal.
older people back then from a different era altogether.
He wasn't
And
taking a wrecking ball to the system like Trump is.
No, and I think the difference is Trump said, well, if I'm going to run as president, I'm coming in like a boxer. I'm going to be Mike Tyson knocking people out because,
or like
and
Rocky.
he did.
Yeah.
And we watched him knock people out left, right, and center, right through the primaries, all that stuff. He was just, through the presidential.
Yeah, I like the meme of Trump when he's in the Rocky boxer shorts, and it's like, because what happened with Rocky? He rope-a-doped while, I forget the guy who was up against, what was it? Apollo Creed, and Apollo Creed just punching himself out on Rocky, right? He's got the puffed out black eye. Come and get me, Rocky.
Well, and you think now and I heard a really good commentary about that for Canada as well. We need to have people who are willing to fight, plain talk, smash mouth football like politics. And you know what? That's because they say politics is a blood sport, except the Republicans and the conservatives here on the other side have always been in a position of being too scared to punch. And that's the thing. They sit back on their heels and say, no, we're the moral people. We got to be the kind. We got to be, we can't be Jesus with the whip chasing the moneylenders out of the temple. And that's the kind of fighter we need, because the temple for us in this case politically is our political institutions. They've been invaded and taken over by this corrupt class. So you need those people who are willing to fight back and say no, and they're going to go at them toe to toe, and we're going to shove them back. And that's what you do, because these people are unreasonable. They are corrupt to the core. And finally, you get a guy who stands up and says, I'll take on the mantle of MAGA, and I'm willing to fight, because MAGA was already underway. He just took the mantle on his shoulders and said, okay, I'm the guy. I'm your prize fighter.
Yeah,
I'll throw it all on me.
Yeah,
it doesn't hurt me. They can say whatever they want about me, and it doesn't stick. And that's the thing. And you'll see other politicians, like he showed when he was going up against Jeb Bush, was probably the classic example. Jeb Bush couldn't handle one zinger thrown at him. He just had a mental collapse, and that showed that guy can't be president right there. And, and then you got others, not very many.
And Jeb, in many people's eyes, because his brother had already been president, his dad
he
had
was
been
the
president.
anointed one.
So they figured Jeb's
Republican
going to be the guy, but he ended up being slightly retarded. He was special needs.
He was Glass Joe for the video game. If anybody ever watched the video game.
Turtle. He had his turtle. I'm slow like a turtle. And of course, Stephen Colbert ripped him apart for that. I mean, and deservedly so. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, we need more tough. We need more tough people. And
I got a tough one for you. I got a
like
tough
Tom
one
Homan, right? They're like a Tom Homan type guy too.
Trump has got a lot of tough boys and girls in his administration, and maybe, arguably, none tougher than this lady, Tulsi Gabbard. We've titled today's episode "Slowly but Surely." Blake, slowly but surely, the truth is coming out. The Epstein thing is a distraction. It's out there, it's floating around, but we'll get around the Epstein thing. We're going to keep moving on, continuing to make America great again. Department of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard just dropped 4-page letter to Congress. The subject, election integrity investigations. Her message, I have statutory authority to coordinate and integrate national intel related to election security, and I'm using it. Congress is panicking. For those in Rio, Linda, the director of national intelligence just told Congress she has the legal authority to investigate election fraud. She's already doing it. No permission needed. No apologies given. That's that tough factor, Blake.
Yeah.
When elections are treated as critical national infrastructure, everything changes. I called this 4 days ago. Welcome to accountability season. Link below in the comments. Tulsi Gabbard, contrary to blatantly false and slanderous accusations being made against me, of course, they always do, wrap up smear, by members of Congress and their friends in the propaganda media, wrap up smear. The Office of the Director of National Intel has and will continue to take action under my statutory authorities to secure our nation and ensure the integrity of our elections. Here's my response to Congress. You can read her letter. It's out there in social media. So again, slowly but surely, what the beauty of all this, Blake, is that which was hidden is coming to light. That which was hidden is coming to light. They can slow it down, but they can't stop it. As a certain personality on 4Channel said, nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing. Wait for it. So Tulsi Gabbard, going in as a matter of national defense, why would the head Department of National Intel be interested in what went on in Georgia and grabbing those files?
Well, because they're going to prove the voter fraud. They're going to get the information, all the fake ballots that were created, and they're already showing it, because that just shows that there was a consolidated effort to I think it's not just Georgia. This was an organized national.
She is there because she's the of Intel, so she's going to be looking at foreign election interference.
Yeah.
And what just happened? We just captured Maduro in Venezuela. When does
tied
the
to the
bird
machines?
sing?
He's tied to the machines.
Yes. And when does a bird sing? When it's captured. When it's in its cage, the bird sings. So Maduro's in, he sings, and then like a month later, we've got a raid on Georgia. And somebody would have, as it was already explained in social media, somebody would have already done the tip off, and that's why they went in there they would have had the FISA in front of that judge to go, this is what we need. This is what we're going for. It's located here. Here's our credible evidence. Here's our credible witness. Here's why we got to go. Judge has to sign off on it. They go and they grab 700 boxes. I think it was 700 boxes.
Yeah, it was a lot
worth of documents coming out of there. And so the Dems are freaking out, and they are freaking out about Tulsi Gabbard. So great stuff. Great stuff.
So the question is Tulsi going to be a VP nominee, or do you think she'll run for president in 2028?
It's going to be, who do you think? Marco Rubio's super popular. I would love JD Vance. I think JD Vance is just a loyal guy. I like the guy. He can handle the opposition beautifully. He doesn't get ruffled at all, So Tulsi would be a great VP though. Oh my, she'd be great in any capacity, quite frankly. If you ever wanted a female president, not that I think that's the greatest thing, but I'd like JD in there. And then, all these people Trump's got a dream team. He's really got a dream team. He's got very credible people. And Marco Rubio is going down as one of the greatest Secretary of States the U.S. has ever had. Highly regarded.
Well, and especially Tulsi Gabbard, you think, because she was a presidential nominee, or not, or she was trying to be the Democratic in 2016 when she went up against Hillary Clinton, the Clinton machine. She destroyed Kamala Harris, and that just wrecked her and wrecked him, damn near killed her.
That's funny. That's good.
But it's true. I mean, she massacred them, but the machine was so strong at that time. Bernie Sanders saw it. All of them got hammered by the Clinton.
Well, that was
machine.
The Clintons have given money to the DNC so they could stay afloat because they were bankrupt.
Yeah.
And so then the DNC swung the deal and said, I'll give you the money. You got to give me the nomination. Bye-bye, Bernie. And, of course, that took out two DNC chairs. It took out Donna Brazile, and it also took out Debbie Wasserman Schultz. So Democrat problems in there and their own corruption.
Well, just think of, like, you talk about the dream team. I mean, she was a darling within the Democrat Party, not so much in the hierarchy, because the hierarchy, the elites within it hated her guts, but she was actually standing up by principle, and which you can't have principles if you're going to be into that machine. You got to be a soulless, empty vassal told what to do. And guess what? You'll get millions in your bank account if you do what you're told.
Yeah, and
but the other person I was just going to point out, they grabbed another big name, of course, was Kennedy, right? Yeah. If you could, that Kennedy is like the royalty of names when it comes to the Democratic Party, and they were able to get Kennedy to join in that team as well, which are two huge Democrats, right? And that's kind of the I think people forget that part, and I think you made it that good point, that dream team. It wasn't a dream team of Republicans; it's a dream team, period, of Americans that love America, and I think they came with different skill sets that he recognized and he needed around him to get that. I think he knew as well he would capture that. I think that middle ground, normal Democrats to go, well, let's take another look at Trump, and I think it worked. Right?
Well, the unions, like we talked last show, like you were pointing out, that Trump's got a lot of the union people with him, the traditional blue collar Democrats, the lunch bucket brigade, basically. Yeah. He's got all those guys. So Rosie the Riveter is voting Trump. He doesn't have the pink-haired brigade, but he does have a few non-pink-haired trannies supporting him. I love my president as a fun-loving tranny.
Well, but I think if you look at, really, the divide comes down to pretty much worldwide. When we talk about the elites running this machine, it is that bureaucratic class of the government unions, the government bureaucracy, the government leadership on that level are the ones that are running the unions, running their own political parties. And it's really an unholy union, because they should not be in that position of power. There should never be a public service union, and especially a public service union that donates to a political party that does their bidding for them. That is a conflict of interest at a massive scale. You want to end off that funding arm that steals from the taxpayers to fund their power and control. You need to abolish public service unions. They shouldn't exist. Full stop. If you want to work for the government, you work for the government, and that's basically a right to work. That's it. Nobody needs to be forced into joining a union, and especially when the union dues get funded and turn into these big fraud schemes and machines where they're taking money from those workers to fund getting them raises and taking more money to keep funneling to their Democratic Party machine.
What's great?
And that's who those people are, guaranteed. 90% of those so-called ICE protesters that are showing up and clocking out are those same public service union workers, and a lot of them are, of course, are tied to the universities and academia.
How many nurses? I mean, but it's the same thing, because they captured these kind of these institutions in our culture, the education system. Did you see you could see the Texas teacher getting swarmed by all these eighth graders or whatever the hell they were, beating the hell out of the poor guy. They're all out there protesting. It's just absolutely horrific. Cord is right as in lockstep with you there, Blake. Totally agree with you on that. Always good to see Cord join us, and all of you. It's really great. We always have a small audience watching, but we generally do better as the video sits and percolates a little bit on the server here. So anyway, some good things are happening. And we're seeing these corrupt officials. The spotlight is on them because of all the corruption. We do have an FBI with a will, a Department of Justice with a will to get things done. It's been slow slugging, but we are seeing indications of. We're seeing some of these politicians being scrutinized. 5 million stolen from FEMA. What? And then we've got all the daycares, and now it's happening in California. So Gavin Newsom's under a lot of heat right now, a lot of scrutiny. And now we've got Tulsi Gabbard going through those 700 boxes and her team, some very capable people. I like to think a number of people on our side of the aisle like to think that a lot of this has been planned out very meticulously, very carefully. over a long period of time, knowing where the targets were. Trump said like 3 years ago, we have it all. We have it all. We got everything we need. And so we're just watching things play out. We're seeing things play out. And Trump never tips his hand, and he does a lot of feinting. Don't look here, look here. And the media tends to follow it, just like he's a magician. Watch, everybody's looking at the hand, but the magic is occurring in the other hand altogether. Very interesting, indeed.
Rope-a-dope politician.
Yeah. So up here in Canada, Blake, especially our neck of the woods, we're seeing more calls for separation from Canada. Now, British Columbia has a snowball's chance in hell of doing anything, but it really is telling that even at this state of things, 28% of the province, apparently on some poll, they didn't poll me, were interested in saying, yeah, I'd be interested in forming a party that leaves Canada, and an independent party that less than thrilled with what's going on in Ottawa. Blake, if it was up to your vote, would you leave British Columbia to form your own country and or join the United States? And what would be your preference?
Well, right now, Canada's lost, right? So my preference would be to join the United States, because for British Columbia to go off on its own, become its own country, say with Alberta and Saskatchewan, we form Western Canada. Of course, that would probably take the Yukon with us as well. We could probably do it, but we're much better with an alliance with other states, right? Because you have a union of states who have all their own constitutions. They are like mini countries within the United States.
Yeah.
The United States, the Constitution is different because it allows power to the states. It allows power to the individual. Canada doesn't have that. Canada's only faint hope, and I'm going to say this, where I would support Canada, is that Canada abolishes its crown control through the monarchy, get rid of the monarchy, become a republic, mirror itself off the United States Constitution, and then partner with the United States as an equal partner in the world. And you know what? We'll create our own economic union. We'll trade freely between the border. We'll do all that kind of stuff. And then you can slowly do all the other steps if you want to do it. The problem is the dependency class in Canada is quite large. And that's where as you mentioned, you doubt.
Well, that's why it's a snowball.
That people are going to leave. So you've got all the people living off Canadian pensions, in certain areas. You've got these, I would call them enclaves of progressive hellscapes, downtown Vancouver, downtown Victoria, some of the other cities like Nanaimo.
Edmonton's very liberal, the big city.
Well, they call it Redmonton for a reason, because that's where all the lefties live, because they work for who? The public service government.
Yeah, and folks in Canada, red is not good MAGA red. It's a horrible commie red.
But the difference is for British Columbia is that once you carve out Vancouver, and you carve out Victoria, then it's probably closer to a 50-50, maybe even 60-40 in favor, because there's a lot of people. Well, a lot of them, like I say, when you go to the interior of British Columbia, most of those people are more like Alberta than they are like Vancouver and Victoria. And when you get to the Peace River country and you get to places like that, they are basically Alberta. Right, in the sense of these are salt of the earth people. They work the land. They're miners. They're oil guys. They're farmers and ranchers and loggers, and that's who they are. They're the blue collar that basically Trump appeals to, and that's the part that the failed progressives, who are basically nothing more than intellectual morons. They've got their big degrees and they run around and they got them on their shoulders, kind of like the Pharisees used to carry their big Bibles on their shoulders, or the law, the Torah, but they didn't know anything about it. They don't know how to handle people, but they think they know how to direct people. And that's why they're a disaster in the cities.
Horrible.
And I think that the rural people and even some suburban areas would go with Alberta. So what we may see, if this was allowed to play out in its entirety, you might see regions of BC saying, we're out of here.
And that's a big if,
And that's a strong sense. So what are you going to do about it, David Eby? You're from Ontario, so kick your sorry ass out of here. We're not going to let a Kitchener guy tell us what to do in BC. But those of us who are born and raised in British Columbia are going to say what we want to do. And quite frankly, I think most of us, like we've talked about this before, we loved the old Canada. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but there was
We're
a
proud
sense,
of it. We're proud of our identity and that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there was a sense, and we had a good relationship with the United States, but
We
the
were their
people,
friends. Yeah.
but 10 years of almost 11 years now
Of communist rule.
well, the post-national state, right? That's
Yeah.
what they did. They declared it, not us. They declared Canada is no longer a nation with an identity.
Yeah.
They said we're a post-national state with no core identity.
Yeah.
And that's where they become. And this is why Canada is in a state of political civil war right now. It is truly a civil war without guns firing. The hatred that's coming from our leadership towards its own population, and the population they're targeting is the old stock patriot Canadians.
Yeah,
That's
and in
who they
fairness,
hate.
we hate them too. We hate them just
we're
as
not
much.
like them. Remember, we're not like you at all. And that after Charlie Kirk was decided, we're not like you guys at all. We're not firing guns, but you guys are the ones showing up with batons in your hands to beat people down and boots, to punch, kick people. And, and you're telling us our country, did you just see a guy got arrested holding a Canadian flag just the other day? And he's arrested. Meanwhile, there's guys walking around with swords and, ceremonial, but ceremonial.
Yeah, the Sikhs are allowed to run around with their swords. Yeah.
So the reason why they arrested him is because the flagpole would be considered dangerous.
His flagpole was weaponized, but he wasn't used as weapons, just flagging.
Now, if he had a rainbow flag up there, he'd have been left alone. And that's, I think, the point.
Yeah, you got to be smart. Got to be smart about how you do it.
All the laws that are post-national status who are allied to China, which is what we've become, the CCP proxy group.
Yeah.
Essentially we have lost Canada to those people, and they hold the positions of power, and they're entrenched, and they feed the machine, the elbows up crowd, to keep supporting them through pensions, through government jobs, government contracts, corruption, just like the Democrats. Canada hides it, though. They bury it. They don't allow you to see it. They seal it up for 15 years because they have done billions and billions of backdoor deals to all of their friends.
Corruption.
And colleagues.
It's organized crime is what we got.
It is. And I think we go to Promethean Action, and they're going hard at Carney right now, which is their latest.
Oh, good. Fun for us.
He's seen as the super general for the WEF.
Yeah, he's carrying water for those guys.
Yeah,
right on the U.S. border. Like, I agree 100%. I'd much rather join America and become part of the greatest nation on earth rather than another state floating around, and trying to find its legs.
Well, especially with the leftists we have here, they'd probably just want to turn us into another Cuba, right?
Well, God help us. God help us. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for Blake and myself today. As always, give us a thumbs up, share the video, yada, yada, yada. Thanks for being with us. Folks, those that watch Rachel's Ghost 2 program, 4:00 today, we should have a really good show going there. Holy smokes, it's the Great Reckoning. It's going everywhere with our liberal friends kind of doing what they do. So my channel is facing a lot of challenges from that because it's trying to bobble and play nice in a world where everybody's so fucking gaslit that it's making it hard for them just to sit back and enjoy my incredible music room here with the records and all that. But anyway, we're going to give it our best. We're 4:00 today, Rachel's Ghost 2. You can find me over there. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for me and Blake. We will see you again on Friday. And it's another week. God knows what's going to happen by the time from Tuesday to Friday, anything could happen. It's just crazy times.